So welcome back to part 2 of me covering the tournament that my partner Leo and I had the other week in the men's doubles 4.5 to 5-0. If you haven't watched part 1, you could see it in the corner right here. That was the first 3 matches. We ended up going 3-0 in those matches, but one of those games was very, very close. And today we're going to be first covering, as you can see on the screen, this is the semifinal match. Now, in this video, there's going to be 2 matches. It's either we lose the semifinals and then we play for the bronze medal, or we win in the semis and then we play for the gold or silver in the finals. I'm not going to spoil either match for you guys here, but same format as last time. Listen, I'm probably going to be pausing on almost every single point here. I'll be criticizing my own play, I'll be criticizing the play of my partner, and criticizing the play of my opponents, or even complimenting and vice versa. This is supposed to be a kind of a learning experience. At the end of all of this, I will give my thoughts overall as to what I think as a team we can do better and what I can do better individually as a pickleball player. But as we look on the screen right now, so we're on the opposite side. I'm the one in green. Leo is in white here at the net. The 2 players that are off the camera. The taller one here is Ross, and then to his right, it will be Alex. So this is the first team that we will be facing in the semifinals, or in this video. I'm going to put my headphones on for this as well. And let's get going. Okay, so we're going to even break down this point. I know it seems like not much happened, but let me just adjust this real quick. So I returned the ball, right? So here's Ross getting ready to drive it. And he's driving it at me, right? I'm losing a bunch of frames here, but he's driving at me. Now, I'll say normally speaking, blocking the ball towards the transition zone at the person that drove it is normally the good strategy, because if I were to make this exact block to the one that is not driving, let's say Alex is the one in white here, it would not be a great play, because as you can see, Alex is way more ahead than Ross is, right? So this same ball, had it been going to Alex would be attacking this out of the air. Since Ross is the one attacking it, he's going to be a few steps behind. He's not going to have as much momentum. On top of that, if I were to block it deep, it also would not be a great play, because Ross would be taking that ball out of the air also, right? It would be somewhere at the hip level, let's say if I was aiming deep. So blocking it to the transition when you know that the player will likely follow up, and it's quite clear why Ross would follow up himself and not stay back, and that's because he's driving from inside the court. I mean, he's in a closed stance. He's moving forward, so, it doesn't take much to understand that he's going to easily move forward. If my return was deeper, and if I saw him hitting that drive off his back foot, then blocking deeper makes sense, because it takes way longer for him to go from his back foot and have his momentum going forward. But if he's stepping into the court and you can easily see him transitioning weight forward in the closed stance, I know he's pushing forward. So that was a good block by me. Okay. A little bit of confusion between Leo and myself here, and what ended up happening in this situation is, as we're coming up, right, here I'm kind of countering a ball from the transition zone. I was not looking to follow up, because I did expect Leo to be grabbing this with his forehand wing, because this ball actually does drop about an inch or 2 on my side, but obviously someone that's playing on the left can take this. But the only difference here is Leo hung back just a bit more, because he was further back to begin with, and he didn't want to commit to running in through the middle, only because, as you can see, this ball is relatively high up in the air. Alex had the option of kind of pocketing it into the corner here, right? I'm not sure if that's a shot that he normally would do, but that is a shot that it is available. It's high enough above the net. His arm is stretched out, which does make it easier to have that angle available, right? If you're kind of getting jammed up a little bit, it's tough to get much of an angle, but because it's stretched out in front, he could easily make that angle happen. So I think, as you can see here, Leo is kind of his feet. He's looking to possibly cover, that angle. and that leaves that middle open. And me, I did not realize, you know, that Leo's going to be looking to cover that left side a bit more, and it's a tiny bit of confusion. So it sucks to give up one of our serves like that. That's going to happen. Dropping. Okay, I mean, that was good. Again, it's almost like the third was actually the second point back to back, right? Where I'm coming in off so in this case, I'm coming in off a drop. And, you know, Chase is speeding it up here. So this is a similar situation. It's kind of a similar situation regarding that block of his drive, where this roll of his makes sense if I'm staying back because it's a deep roll, right? Look at this. This roll is going to be going deep by him, right? But because I'm moving in, all of a sudden it goes from looking like a good roll to a bad roll because I'm pushing in. I'm taking this ball above my waist, right? So this is what, you know, some shots in some situations can look great. In other situations, they look bad simply due to the positioning of the opponent. And in this case, again, I've never played of Chase. He's never played of me, so he's not sure himself as to how aggressively do I move forward. And in this case, he goes for a deep roll and he gets punished. If he went for a more shallow roll, one that is maybe below my waist, would I probably attack from there? Probably still, but it wouldn't be as easy, right? As opposed to this one here where I'm even stepping into it, look at this, and punishing his teammate here. Again, the reason I'm pointing this out is because you kind of hear this boilerplate talk where it's like, oh, always try to volley deep and roll deep and block deep, but as a blanket statement, you know, sure, it's better than always saying you should always be doing all that short. But once you kind of look at the nuances of the situation, things do change depending upon how your opponent is playing and how your opponent is moving in or not moving in. It's a big serve. Okay, I mean, great point played by all of us here. I pointed this out in my in the first part. This is an issue with slicing your returns. So Alex is slicing the return. It's coming to me. This kind of like drive drip shot, you've kind of been hearing about this dripping shot as of late. It's not something in my toolkit that I've really been working on much, but I get it in this instance. And that's only because of Alex slicing that ball. Because I'm kind of like, I see the slice coming in. I want to drop off it, but if I do that, I might hit the net because I do have to deal with the rotation. So I'm essentially just putting in more momentum, more acceleration. And in doing so, it's creating this hybrid shot, all because of that slice return. And you could see how effective that is. And again, great movement by Leo. Look at this. Look at this. As the ball is just coming off the paddle, even beforehand, look at this. Leo's moving towards that middle, right? Look at this. He's already on top of this, right? It doesn't matter if he's taking it of the backhand side. A, it's the right play. Look how far back I'm still, right? Because I took this, I dropped this from way back behind the baseline. Leo's in front of it. He takes it, you know, into the middle. And then we just, you know, we had the upper hand here throughout the rest of the point here. So that was just well put together. And once again, kind of show the downside of slicing the return. And I say that as someone who also slices all his returns, but I'm just kind of pointing it out. So that was just a good point there. By our opponents. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't look anything too crazy, right? If we kind of look at this, it's just a little bit of a risky speed up by me, right? Off the bounce here, just see me coming in, comes in. Normally, if I do see it a little bit empty, I am going to go for it. Relatively high above the net, but it looks like he just ends up catching it a tiny bit late there. Let me just see something. Yep. Just catches it a tiny bit late. Oh. All right. It's a good drive by Ross. Okay, it's another hand battle there where I was able to snag. Let's look at. Let me just try to find where we are here. I want us to look at. So as this ball is coming to Leo, look at Leo, right? Look at where he puts his roll volley, right? Again, it's not a crazy deep roll volley. It's hitting the transition zone. Where's the bounce occurring? Yeah, it's about right here. It's catching, you know, Ross needs to kind of wait and hit it off the bounce. Had Leo gone for a much deeper one, well, Ross might have taken it out of the air. Now, in general, Ross is a little further behind, so he wouldn't be able to do much of either shot. But it's still a well-placed shot, in my opinion, for someone that is trying to move forward. As we look at this point here, yeah, so again, yeah. So as we said, it's just hand battle. So far I'm feeling great, obviously, right? So I've won almost every single hand battle. That always makes you feel great, especially in a game where obviously most of the points are won at the net. Dropping there. And yeah, there's just another one we take. Yeah, let's just look at this point again. And our opponents looks like, if we look at their paddles real quick. So you have Alex using a mod. So Alex is the one here at the net. He's got a mod, and it looks like Ross is using some sort of engaged paddle. So if I look at this point, yeah. So was this the point that we just looked at? I believe so, right? Yeah. This is just very, very, very bad communication between the two of us. In no universe should Leo ever be taking this. And if our positions will switch, same exact deal. I mean, obviously I'm at the ball also, in line of where Leo is. I should be taking this of a forehand, just dropping it right here basically. Leo has to take it of a backhand, and we just end up in a really rough position. I mean, whenever you're taking it from the middle and you're trying to drop it, the easiest drop is always kind of diagonal, right? So think about it. If I'm taking my forehand, my diagonal drop is to my opponent's backhand. But on the right-hand side, your diagonal drop is your opponent's forehand. So if it's a bad drop, you get punished way easier. Sure, you do run the risk again. That people do love to earn you a lot on this left side, and that can happen. But in general, like obviously that's a ball I should be taking. We should have just done a better job communicating in that instance. Okay, I mean, we are up, as you can see the score up here, 3-1. Now, keep in mind, our score will always be the first score. Opponent's score will always be the second score. So we're up 3-1. This is their first serve right here. It's a big drive by Ross. It was a good block by them. Okay, that might have been the first think battle. I think in this instance here, I was trying to tell Leo, hey, let's get up there. Look to maybe play the soft game with them a little bit. We haven't really tested them much in a soft game. I tried thinking maybe once or twice, and almost right away I was getting sped up at. And even in this instance, right? So, so Alex has a good drop here. I kind of short hop it, right? So we do have a small little dink battle here, yeah, and on the very second one here on the backhand side. So that's why I kind of tell Leo, hey, how about we just try to play the soft game a little bit, get ourselves a bit more into the match here. It's 2-3-2. Yeah. So you might be noticing, you might have noticed the last couple points, they've been attacking Leo's backhand, especially on the drives here. So you'll see this drive in particular, right? As Leo's hitting it, I know Leo's watching this video, and I spoke about this in the part 1, where I think it's predominantly happens on the backhand side, where he's a little bit too reactive with the legs. Notice how he's flying backwards, and this is from coming towards the net. So, you know, he takes his momentum forward and really throws it backwards to deal with this drive, which takes away all the power. That's why it drops so short here. And then very similar situation here, right? Again, kind of falling back, and this one pops up, and then we get crushed there. I think they kind of noticed that Leo's just not being as confident on that backhand wing. So they're looking to be driving at that. So yeah, we got that hand battle there. My return was also, my block also was not the best. A little short there, as you could see. Yeah, just a little bit of slice on it, and that honestly, the whole thing was played bad by me too, because again, during practice I've seen this. So me taking this shot is not great. This short hop, I actually would rather see myself back up. If I'm not gonna take it out of the air, I'd rather back up a whole step and take a bigger backhand swing and actually drill it, because I could drill a pretty heavy two-handed backhand. I'd rather do that than take the shot that I took here, because at the end of the day, we kind of got lucky here, right? I mean, sure, I was covering the middle and all, I was prepared for it. People tend to always speed up middle in that situation very often, either while speeding up at your opponent or middle. So I was ready for that. But yeah, I've got to do something else about that short hop of mine. All right, so there's another mistake by me. So what ended up happening here, I finally, as you might know from part 1, I was upset at the fact that in rec play, I serve big, I drive big, but in this tournament, I was doing neither one of those. I was serving weaker, and I was dropping pretty much all my shots. But on this particular point, I elect to, because I saw Leo moving forward, I elected to try to drive it, but I wasn't driving it using my normal grip that I would use for a big ground stroke. I usually hold it semi-western. So something like this. This is how my grip normally looks like, right? When I'm driving it. Very close. I also serve in this grip usually. But my default grip is a continental grip, right? That's what I use. By default, I'm holding on to this grip, especially when I'm going to the net. I also can drive with this grip, but it's not the best of drives, especially not when I'm a few feet off the baseline, right? There's no way to generate enough pace. This is better if I'm like mid-court and the ball just comes at me quickly and I want to put pace on it. This can work perfectly fine because I'm already in that grip. But in this situation, I kind of decided to go with this grip. Not a good idea because Leo gets punished right away. That's completely my fault. 3-3, right? So we've kind of lost some of that early momentum that we had. Here I drop again. It was just a messy point. I don't think there's anything in particular that was that bad. We tried to get up, we just kind of couldn't. They've got serves now at 3-3-1. Yeah, I mean, that's another mistake by me. I mean, I did this in part 1 also. It's just, I normally do not make this mistake, but for some reason, this inside-out dink, I just left it way too high. I mean, that really high, you know. Again, that is just completely on me. That is completely on me. It's not a characteristic mistake by me to make, but I managed to do it in this game. Luckily, I think that was the only time. And in the previous match, I also did it once. Maybe that's just the nerves, you know. All right, there we go. It's good hands battle by Leo there. So they are up 4-3 right now, second server. Okay. Three, 4, 1. It's a big serve by Leo. Yep, gets us the point there. Okay. It's all right. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Let's take a look at this point. So clearly we were playing from behind the whole point, right? I mean, just playing defense as best as we could here. Trying to get something that's going to land remotely, you know. I mean, here Ross may have had a chance, right? Was this overhead here? I mean, he's winding it up, you know. Well, it was a little bit short. That was the issue there. We move up. I move up a little bit, as you can see me trying to, but then this comes about, and then I get another lucky bounce there. And this here, as we look a little closer here, I mean, you see me first of all, you know, obviously I get this ball over the net. I'm looking at this. Ross is a tall dude, you know, I don't know, maybe like 6'2" or something. So I was getting ready to either get pegged by this ball or try to get a paddle on it. I mean, you can see me. I'm actually preparing to try to defend the shot. I'm not turning around. I'm actually, well, I turn around once the ball's above my head here. But I was just thinking, you know, maybe that middle is going to be under attack, so let me try to get a paddle there. But they just end up kind of hitting paddles here. I mean, look at this. You know, boom. And, you know, I would say that's obviously Ross's shot. It's just hanging out there, and it's an easy forehand put away. Would Alex have been able to put it away with that backhand? Yeah, 100% too. I mean, he has that strong backhand from up top, but this goes to show you, A, playing the point out as much as you can to the very end, and B, the power of going to the middle. That's the only reason. Had I just put that ball in front of Ross or in front of Alex, they would have put it away. But because it was in the middle, you know, it gave that level of confusion between the two of them. And it gets us a second point, as you can see here. You know, Alex is obviously still in his head. So, yeah, you get, you know, 2 points for the price of 1 in that instance. We're switching sides here. So we're up 6-4. Much better. We're feeling much better now. Okay. 4-6-1. Okay, so you see here Leo commenting on me. What's happening here, and he's right about this. Look how far off the line I am for no reason at all, right? Look where our opponents are. This ball is coming at me. Obviously, I'm looking to be aggressive off the bounce here, which is much better than short hopping it. But look how deep this ball ends up landing. It lands past the non-volley zone. Okay. I could probably scorpion this ball or overhead it to a point, right? If I just bend my knees. I could have been way more aggressive with this ball. I chilled back way too much, and we lost this point almost. I mean, if you just look at how it plays out here, right? This was a great block by Ross. Barely get a paddle on it, and Alex dumps it back in the net. He's still dealing with that mishap from a few points ago, but yeah. So Leo was very much in the right here to tell me, hey, move up, because that wasn't the right time to do it. That was not the right time for me to back up and play it off the bounce. No, I should have been way more ahead there. So it's 4-6-2. So again, as you saw there, it's that drive towards Leo's backhand. See, even here, Leo, again, I say Leo because I know he's watching this. Even if we're not jumping, right, it's just even crossing behind, it's just a lot of movement of the legs. I think they're just throwing away the shot during and after the fact. And also a little too much action of that wrist. As you can see, the wrist is breaking, and that breakage is actually creating that lift in the ball there. Yeah, you see them talking between one another. That's probably the one thing that's been working for them, is that drive towards Leo's end, because we're doing way better than them at the net, in my opinion. We're both able to beat them. That was a close point, That was a close point. Obviously, this, 19 out of 20 times Leo's winning these points. I mean, he was on top of these. Yeah. The same way Alex was in his head for a few points there, Leo's probably in his head as well, just from those backhand return misses. Yep. So you see them pressuring that now, right? Again, that big drive. Look at, Alex is right, way more confident in the second half of the game now than the first half in terms of what they're doing with the game plan here. Look at this. Right, they're catching Leo. And again, Leo's legs are flying up in the air here. And Alex is ready, to pounce on it. And it works out really well for them here. Ouch. I almost got that back over. And you see, mid-game, so I call a timeout here because we kind of gave them a few points here. We were up 6-4, now we're down a whole point. Leo and I were just having a little conversation here. The way I saw it was, in the vast majority of those points, it's not that we were getting beaten. We were just kind of letting them into the point or just making a few unforced errors. So I wasn't too worried. It's way worse if I'm calling this timeout and I'm like, holy hell, like these guys are killing us the last couple points. Like they're playing out of their mind, That's not the case, So I still feel fairly confident going into this, Yeah, so we chat for a bit here. I think during this timeout, I also say that we should look towards targeting Alex. Because Ross is definitely playing with a lot more confidence, right? And he's essentially the playmaker right now for their team. He's the one driving big, let's say in this case, and they're also stacking now, which makes sense. I mean, listen, they're trying to optimize the fact that they want to drive big towards Leo's backhand. As you guys can tell, Leo and we do not stack. So right now, Leo is on this left-hand side. Ross wants to have his forehand control the court. He wants to be on the left-hand side to make that happen. It's very hard for Leo to place the ball towards Alex here without having Ross reaching over and drilling him with that. So let's keep going here. Right, again, the same attack to that backhand wing, right? So just another repeat there. And the funny thing is, during the match, I didn't quite realize how targeted they were on that backhand wing, right? So, of course, I noticed instances where, like, they're driving and Leo's blocks are not that great, but I wasn't paying attention to the fact that it's specifically to that backhand wing that is punishing us. So it's 6-8 now. 6-8, Ross is serving. And I just want to say this much. Obviously, Leo's not having the best of games. Well, guess what? In part one, in the very last game, it also was not a great game for me. I also made more errors than I normally would make. I made decisions that I normally would not make, that were just poor decisions, and it happens. And I feel like in a tournament, it's very rare to have both players playing top of their game in every single match. Usually one plays better than the other, and it just kind of seesaws back and forth. That's going to happen. That's just the nature of team sports, especially with two players here, you know. So we're down 6-9 here. Finally, Ross misses. I mean, listen, I have to give Ross credit here. He kept on driving these balls and just not missing, you know, just really strong drives. Luckily, they're also they have to unwind the stack moving forward if they want to keep Ross on the left-hand side. So 6-9-1. There we go. Got a good drop in. Alrighty. Good point. I mean, you know, on the topic of backhands here, Ross's backhand, I think it was way underpowered compared to Ross's, let's say, forehand side here, right? Much weaker blocks at this backhand, as you could see, right? Again, very, very wristy, right, with these blocks. You'll notice when Alex is hitting his backhands, actually, he's kind of like pounding at them, which is way more effective. So Ross is not as comfortable with the backhand volleys too, but we just haven't had as many instances of us all being at the net here. And that was a great speed up by Leo. This is one of his good speed ups here when he's off the bounce. Right down the middle. It's a very strong shot. You know, it doesn't look like much on camera, but in real life, it's a very powerful shot. A lot of pace, a lot of spin in it, and it's pretty well concealed. So 7-9. Nice. Okay, that's great. That's great for the morale of the team here, right? We finally got some great aggression here. Let's look at this here, okay? Ball's coming deep. Leo's taking his drive. I'm moving forward, as you guys can see here. Split stepping, right? Reaching over. I'm taking this aggressively. This is going back to the whole topic of blocking deep, right? First of all, this drive is high, okay? You could do a lot of damage putting this drive back down to the ground. Ross kind of misses it, actually, but goes deep with it. And because it's deep, I'm able to kind of initiate this kind of firefight from back here, right? This is a great attack by me because this ball is going straight down, all right? So in this case, I'll say the vast majority of the times, Leo would be right there beside me when I'm taking it. I think just because, you know, this game's kind of been messy so far, Leo might be a little bit too much in his head. He's just not, you know, feeling as confident. So he's a little bit behind because notice we lose a little bit of momentum here, right? The fact that Leo essentially almost defensively gets up to this ball. Luckily, right, so we have Alex here. He kind of goes aggressive again. Was that a great volley by me? No, right? So not a great volley by me, but I continue to stay aggressive. And again, I just rip it right back down again. So we were looking great, and then we're looking not so great, and then looking not so great again, and then we end up winning the point. So even then, there was ups and downs between that point once we actually look a little closer. So 8-9. So you see me get upset over there, right? You see me, I think you see me scream right here. Yeah. You know what I get upset about here is, so I've won so many hand battles, right? It's 8-9. Okay, we're going to the net. What I should be doing here is asking myself, how can I initiate a hands battle right now? while we're all up there, right? Everything is okay so far. I dropped the ball. That drop was a little too high, but it's okay. Here, I have to reset the ball. Might do a fine job. The ball's dipping, you know, as he's getting his hands on it. Everything looks fine. This right here, this is my opportunity to get aggressive on that ball, right? Out of the air. But similar to when Leo told me, hey, move up, that was me making the same mistake right here. Look how far off the line I am. I'm repositioned to a closed stance. I'm waiting. None of this needed to happen. I should have been way up higher, especially as I see the ball coming in. I could have been so much more aggressive. Instead, I decided to play a little bit more slower. The drop was perfectly fine by me again, right? Or my dink, whatever you want to call it. But there's no reason for that because from this point on, right, it's just a matter of randomness. Look at this, right? We get unlucky. We get unlucky. The point gets messy from this point, right? I'm still too far off the line there because sure, I reset the ball. And then look at this. And again, we get unlucky. Right? And then it bounces off my hand. There was no reason for any of that. Had I been properly aggressive of that first ball that was attackable out of the air, there was no reason for me to play it slow when I know that I've been doing so well being aggressive against these players. So that was completely my fault. So it's 8-9. 8-9-2. It's a backhand drive by me. Again, we're all playing the soft game here. Yep, so I missed that. But I can't be mad at myself because you know what? I believe I hit every shot as I should have hit it, unlike the previous point, right? So I'm coming in here as we look at this. Very similar situation, right? So I'm in this position here. I have to reset it. It's a great reset. It's a great reset. I'm up. I still have to be up a whole foot. I'm still too far back here. In practice, Leo's always taking this dink, but the situation is stressful, so, you know, Leo's probably just letting me have it for this moment, because this is a very difficult dink, because, you know, it's obviously one of the hardest dinks to make in the game. On the right-hand side, you know, a dink to your left foot there. But everything looks fine here. You can still see me a little bit off the line, but you see this. At least I'm kind of correcting myself. Look at this. This is what I should have done the previous point after my first reset. Notice, you see, I seem still being kind of defensive. I actually step up, and I'm way closer, right? You see me split stepping. Leo's still closer than I am, by the way. So here I am. I'm stepping into the shot, and unfortunately, you know, I wasn't able to whip it in. Had I been probably half a step in, I would have been able to make it happen. I'm upset at myself. Just that's not a typical miss by me. And at 8-9, obviously, that was a big deal to miss. Great put away by Leo there. We needed that. You can see the nerves kick in there. So, you know, Alex has stopped driving almost anything at this point in the match. You'll notice in the first half of the match, he was driving a lot more. Now he's resorted to only dropping. Even though he's seen firsthand from his partner that when his partner's driving towards Leo's backhand, it's been a good strategy. But Alex is not as confident right now in these moments to do that same tactic. And Leo just puts it away. So 8-9, I mean, they're up 9-8. 9-8-2. You can see them stacking, right? So they're getting the strategy ready. And it paid off, you know. But again, like, you know, listen, if I'm Leo and I'm seeing this is great because Leo's already a phenomenal player, but this is low-hanging fruit in terms of, like, fixing this because that'll make you that much greater of a player. Being able to see kind of a weakness in your game that shouldn't take much to fix, especially knowing that the rest of your game compensates so much for this obvious weakness, at least in this particular match. So they have match point here. So yeah, let's let's look at that point again. A lot of this point look very similar to previous points here, right? So as you see me, right, I'm returning this. I'm really trying to get Alex to be taking these returns. I mean, look at this, right? Ross is really reaching for it, and again, he gets over to Leo's backhand. Luckily, in this instance, because of the way everything was set up here, and because the ball was all the way on Alex's side. So think about this. If I return the ball to Ross, and if Ross was getting ready to drill it at Leo, where would Alex's position would have been? Alex would have been up at the net. We've seen this happen before, where Alex is crashing while Ross is driving. So if we look at how Leo deals with this ball here, right? It's going over the middle of the court relatively high, right? Alex would have dealt with that ball, but because the return went all the way to Alex's side, Alex gets a little bit jammed up and has to move backwards. He's not there to crash in, right? What Alex could have still done, by the way, and I've done this with Leo also, when I know Leo's reaching over and taking it, I'm kind of just like looping around him and still moving in, but it's not that easy because you can't cross the front of the ball. So you're not able to go diagonally towards that middle and poach, right? You have to kind of come up here, and as you hear that ball kind of coming past you, that's when you step over. So that small little detail there really changed the dynamic because now they're at the back, right? And then from here on, you know, let's be honest here, right? That could have gone either way, how that rally went, right? So we get the ball back at 8-10-1. 8-10-1, we get the ball back. Great speed up. I spoke about this before. Leo has a great speed up from that specific spot. It's really unpredictable. You could actually see that Alex was not prepared for it. He wasn't shifting his balance. He wasn't beginning to pivot his feet for a speed up. Normally, if someone's speeding up on the right side, it's either body shot or down the middle. That's how I defend it. Because normally taking this and going all the way to this corner, it's hard to make that happen as a speed up without missing the court. So great speed up, you know. And if we back it up here, right, so let me just see this. Because here I have to hit it out of the air, right? So Leo's driving it, right? I'm not that far up. Yeah, this ends up being kind of a perfect shot here. I have to make the split decision here. What do I do with it? Do I take it as a half volley? I take it out of the air, which it's not a bad shot whatsoever, right? It causes Ross to have to roll it, you know, with his paddle below his head. We move up aggressively. That's a great move by us. And yeah, I mean, the rest of that we played it perfect. It's 8-10. That's a big ass. That's a big point for us, and we played it well. Oh, so notice this right here. As I'm looking over, I see Alex pointing as though he wants to do a timeout. And then they decide to keep it going, as you could see here. Because I acknowledge the fact that he wants to do a timeout. So Alex speaks of Ross about doing a timeout. I think Ross ends up saying one more point. Like if it's 10-10, we'll take it. They should have taken it, you know. They should have taken it then and there. Yeah, one timeout. It is won by 2, though. But obviously, we've got some momentum. Like we won a point just now that, you know, we kind of had to dig up from the back. We had a few, we strung around. I mean, Leo's actually done really well, right? The last 2 or 3 points. So Leo's confidence coming up. They should have kind of knocked that momentum. See how that goes. But it's 9-10. We're still down, though. Here I drop it. Coming up. Ooh, yeah. You know, we did pretty well at that point. I think, you know, there's the mistake that we did here as a team, which is this is a shot that I should be taking. Because first of all, I'm crowding this middle to begin with. So I can take that as a forehand. It's much more difficult as a backhand, obviously. But it's going to happen, you know. And again, nerves are high, obviously, in this instance. But it's okay. I think I even say that it's okay. It's 9-10-2. Big drive. Nice, nice, nice. You see, that was a great point to follow up on after all that, right? So let's break this down. Ball's coming to Leo. Leo's getting ready to drive it, right? I'm stepping forward, covering the middle. Boom. Pushing through it. Notice how Leo's flying in. Notice how the last time this exchange happened, when I was attacking from the transition zone a few points back, Leo was way further back. But look, Leo's in the frame already as Ross is hitting the ball, right? While previously the ball was actually hitting the court and Leo was out of the frame. So obviously, you know, Leo is also mentally much better right now. Leo comes in, I'm covering it, I'm taking this, you know, as I should. This is for me to take. Attack Alex right in the body there. A good follow-up. Notice the last time I had this follow-up where I went from the forehand volley to the backhand, I actually popped that backhand up. This time around, I keep it straight flat. Great volley by Leo here. Again, keeps it low and earns us the point. Earns us the point. You know, that was a massive point for us. 10-10. We've tied it up. We've tied it up, you know, and we've strung together a few good points now. Yeah, I think it might have been one of the, maybe that was the second hands battle that I lost, the first, but that sucked in the moment because everything played out as we normally would want to, right? I have no clue how Alex managed to deal with this ball so well. Look at that. I put a lot on that backhand. You know, it's going straight down. I mean, it's a very, very fast shot. Look at that. And Alex was on top of that. Great response by him. He doesn't just deflect it, he deflects it low and all. I mean, that was just perfect. And, you know, this aggression by me, I spoke about this in the first part. I'm attacking way too much middle cross on this particular shot. I've got to focus it in front of me. Especially when you have a player that is holding middle very well, and Alex has been doing a great job in covering middle with his backhand, and he's got a strong backhand. Notice how his backhand is, right? He's not breaking his wrist, nothing. He has a great form on it in terms of he's very balanced when he's taking it. He's punching it forward. You can see me here taking it as a backhand, right? Problem is, I kind of take it late, you know? And honestly, as I slow down the frames here, I can't even really understand how it pops up often. I mean, look at my position here, right? I'm not jumping in the sky. You know, I'm still kind of meeting the ball out in front, right? If I look at the alignment here. I do try to kind of go over it because I'm trying to put the ball back down, right? So you see me trying to kind of pronate a little bit, right? So I'm not really like, my wrist is not breaking this way. My wrist is actually trying to go over the ball. And somehow it just pops up out. I mean, yeah. Yeah, Alex is hype about it because that was a great point. That's a point that they essentially had lost, but they managed to keep it together. So it's 10-10. It's 10-10. Another great speed up by Leo, just rips it into the corner perfectly. That's big. And Ross misses that drive. I mean, that's big. It's 10-10-1 now. It's 10-10-1. Big drive. Yeah, great point. I mean, that is a point that we came from the dead in. You know, that is a point that we came from the dead. If you look at how this point played out, this ball here, by the way, is poachable, but you can see where it is as it's passing by me, right? It's up here, but personally speaking, I would prefer to develop and get used to using a two-handed backhand volley when I'm this far back in the court. It's just so much more difficult to use a one-handed and generate enough pace. A two-handed backhand, which you see a lot of pros using nowadays, especially when in the transition zone, would give me that level of pace to be able to poach that ball. So from here on, right, so Leo drives it. This time, Ross is on top of it, rips it down. I get a paddle up. I'm flying backwards. I get a good deflection there. They let it drop. Leo goes for a great drop. Here you have Alex short hopping of his backhand. This probably is a shot that Ross should be taking. And we're flying up. Leo's flying up. Speeds it up middle. That's one of Leo's greatest shots there. I attack that as well. And we win the point. And, I mean, that's a massive point for us to take. 11-10. 11-10. Again, a point that, you know, in this case, we very much looked at. And that was out. And that's it. That was the match. That was the semifinals. And that was a tough match. That was a tough match. I think there's a lot of great points there. A lot of nerves from both sides. But I would say that was probably the best match we had in the tournament up to that point, you know, in terms of how everybody was playing, the strategies that were involved. And, you know, with the win of that match, we end up now going into the finals. So here we are finally. After going 4-0 in the previous 4 matches, we are now in the finals. We're up against Eric and Matt. Eric right now is on the left-hand side of the court. Matt, the one that's about to serve, is on the right-hand side of the court. We're obviously going to be receiving. You guys know how the score works. We're fighting for gold here. It's first to 11 points, win by 2. That's it, just one game. And let's get going. And I'm going to click play. Okay, so let's point something out here. We have 1 mod, 2 mods, 3 mods. There are 3 mods on the court here, so you know that we're fighting the final boss here in terms of matches, right? And as you could see here, our opponents come out banging, right? I think every one of those was a drive. I mean, look at this. Eric, ex-tennis player here, massive drive by him with his mod. He gets the ball back. Another lot of spin on that drive. There's Matt of his drive. It ends up, you know, causing me to make an error here. So they're coming out hot. So it's 1-0 them. You know, that was just very careless of me. Yeah, that ball was gonna fly out. And I just end up kind of saving it. It was a little bit unexpected, but yeah, I ended up just saving this ball completely, you know. And as you can see here, Eric was obviously ready to. You can see Eric is actually crashing in here. So this is clearly got to be a strategy they've been using this whole tournament in the finals for a good reason, right? If their idea is, hey, we're just gonna be driving and crashing. I mean, in this case, it even pays off, right? Eric grabs the middle there and surprises. I think the only reason Leo got surprised there was because I took that ball that was going out, and that's what he ends up telling me. And obviously, I attested to the idea that yeah, I knew it was going out. It was a mistake by me. It's 2-0 them though. So yeah, I mean, so far two mistakes by me to begin the finals. You know, Leo did well there, defending himself. There's a big drive by Leo. Coming in. Catches Eric there by surprise on the backhand side. We're up 1-2 now. I mean, we're not up, but it's now 1-2. Yeah, so Matt ends up missing this ball. Now Matt, as far as I know, after talking to him afterwards, he doesn't come from a racket sport, doesn't have tennis experience, and it's a little bit obvious here because he's not reading the slice on this ball, which is what catches him off guard. That's why he kind of hits it in an awkward way. He just was not. He just wasn't reading the slice on that drop. I do have a little bit of a unique drop where I drop on my backhand side with not regular backspin, but actually side spin. And you can see how that's being created by the way I'm kind of bringing the paddle perpendicular to my body. So instead of just kind of going forward to create that underspin, I'm actually going more perpendicular to put that side spin there. And you could see that ball bouncing, off to the side, which catches a lot of players, even players that do play racket sports and tennis sports. I mean, you still have to account for that. You never truly know how much it's going to bite into the court. It's usually a pretty good drop to throw people off. It's 2-2 now. It's a good roll by Eric. So you could see there. I mean, the game plan is quite clear, right? They're not looking to dink the ball here, right? They're looking, especially Eric. Eric is he's actually the highest dupered player in the tournament. He had a duper of about 5.1. Matt, on the flip side, is actually, I believe, the lowest dupered player in the tournament. I think his duper was about 4.1, maybe 4.2 in this during this match. So they're very far dupers. I mean, that's why you are going to be seeing Eric trying to stack most of the time and being very aggressive here. In this case, you can see him essentially speeding it up, off the bounce. And listen, he's using the mod as you should be using it, which is very, very aggressive, right? If he had a control paddle, in this situation, and he'd be trying to speed this up, he'd be losing way more points, right, than he actually is. And this has been working for him so far, so he's going to continue to do so. But here's the problem, though. If it doesn't win him the point, and we're able to deflect it well, so we're back. So yes, if Eric is not able to win the point with these type of risky speed ups, he ends up putting his partner in a tough bind here, right? Because Matt is the one where the ball is getting deflected towards, and he's just not as prepared for them. Now it's 2-2. I mean 3-2 us now. So we took the lead after a poor start by me. So same deal, right? You see this here. We're moving in. Eric has no plans to be dropping this. He's looking to speed it up with two hands. And who pays the price for that? Matt. So this is a bit of an issue of when you are playing overly aggressive and you know that you have a teammate that's just, on this court is kind of the weaker player. You are putting your partner in a tough situation there where they have to try to react to that. And normally speaking, whenever anyone speeds up on the left-hand side, I'm always jumping towards that middle if I'm on the left to cover it. So it's normally very hard to get through me using that middle. So again, this is a great move by Eric. This is exactly what he should be doing. I'm trying to drop the ball to Matt, and Eric steps over, maybe even on the line, who knows? If not the right foot, then maybe even the left foot. But and the right foot, but it doesn't matter. Obviously, that's the right way for him to play it. It actually makes sense as to why he might have stepped over, because Matt is so up on that line. Look at this. They almost step on each other's feet practically. But we get punished there, but that's okay. That's going to happen. It's also good to test that to just see exactly how far Eric will reach over in terms of trying to cover the court there. I mean, great point there. You could almost look at this point again here, right, as it builds up. So here we go. Leo's driving it at Matt. Matt's not going to have the best deflection here. I'm coming in. I'm taking this ball out of the air, which was the right play. Eric intercepts it, attacks it. We get this ball off the net here. I should have been a few feet higher than I am. You might have noticed in the previous match when I was narrating that. It's quite clear from looking in the video, I'm not up at that line as close as I should be. I'm having this distance of about, I mean, this is even more egregious than normal, but I would say like 3-4 feet off the line. That's way too much. Even if sometimes I cover that gap, I need to actually be like 1.5 feet off that line. And when I need to, I can take another step backwards and then return back to being 1.5 feet off that line instead of being 3.5 feet off and then making, you know, and then coming up 1.5 feet. So you see me coming up in this instance, right? So I'm coming up a little closer, even though I still should be closer. And I kind of have a finish there where I actually give this ball a little bit of a side spin. You could see this, the way I kind of slice through it. Again, it's not forward, it's off the side of my body that gives it this really weird side rotation there. But that was just a nasty shot. (5-2). Big serve by Leo. I mean, you know, as we said, you know, right? So Eric's obviously looking for that speed up. I think Leo read that shot perfectly. He was beginning to kind of scoot over. Actually ends up catching it maybe a little bit too much on the right-hand side of the body. I mean, Eric just had a really good drive right down the line there. Yeah, I mean, it was very close. Look at that. We hit the top of the net there. Very close. Yeah, just a missed serve. Just a bad drop by me. So that's a similar repeat to a point we previously saw, right? Where I'm dropping to Eric's backhand. Eric is going for that speed up in a similar fashion here. I mean, look at me. I'm covering that middle already. Even before he's about to hit it, I'm already very, very close to that middle. As it's coming, you know, I'm ready to attack it. You know, I'm prepared to attack it. And Matt pays the price for that. He does actually end up doing a decent job in catching that ball in front of him, as you could see, right? So that was good on him. But still catches him off guard just enough that he doesn't have the best follow through, and it still startles him. So we're up 6-2. Okay. Matt played a good point there. So what ended up happening there? So I ended up driving it towards Matt, right? Which is a fine drive. Leo gets caught a little bit there in transition zone. Yeah, it was just a little bit too high of and I get caught in the transition zone too, as you can see here. So Matt just placed two balls in the perfect spot, right at our feet, you know, and he got that point. So they're serving at 2-6-1 now. Big drive by Eric. Yeah. Massive drive. And there we go. Ran right through. So I can imagine that a lot of the previous matches that Eric and Matt had, it looked a lot like this. There was a lot of points where Eric was ripping the ball. So how did they begin? They began from a little bit before this, right? So Eric comes in, rips the first ball, gets a little bit of a shorter ball. Rips it coming in again. Again, majority of people, I would say, in this situation, majority of players are going to look towards dropping this, right? But because of the dynamic on their team, and because, you know, Eric is using a pretty hot paddle here, he elects to drive this one. Great spot, catches Leo right in the chest here. Leo deflects that higher, and just gets pounded away by Eric here. And that's what Eric is counting on. He's counting on the very first deflection to be a poor deflection, and then he could build up from that. So here you go, big backhand, and it tags the net and actually stays in. So it's 4-6 them. I mean, they got 2 points. They bridged the gap by 2. Big serve. Here's a big drive. All right, well played by Leo there. So, again, big drive by Eric, right? Not a bad deflection by me, right? It's in a spot that at least is not that easily attackable. So you see, what's it called? Eric actually, instead of going for another drive, he goes for a drop because he's catching the ball closer to his legs here. This time he elects to drop it to Leo's backhand. Leo dinks it over. Right off the bat, Matt's going for a speed up. Neither of them are interested in dinking the ball much. And that speed up by Matt is actually what essentially lost him the point in that situation. And Leo cleaned it up pretty well. I would say this much, team-wise, every extra ball that we're able to make our opponents play, our chances of winning that point go up astronomically, in my opinion. We know that Eric is trying to win the point within the first 1 to 3 shots. That's it. And if he doesn't win the point within the first 3 shots, our chances of winning that point go up a lot. Because at that point, him and Leo and myself are likely very much established at the net. Our opponents are probably maybe at an extent also established at the net, but clearly in this situation, Matt's a bit of the weaker one. And second of all, let's be honest here, Eric's paddle, it wasn't just a regular mod. It was a pretty busted up mod. You're not going to be dinking much of that paddle. You know, that paddle is really meant to be pounding the ball away, not to be doing resets or dinks with. So that's not a situation where you want to find yourself. Great drive by Leo. Pick up that point there. So we're up 7-4 now. I mean, that is just, trust me, in real time, that ball came at me fast, right? You could argue that this is not the best dink by me. I mean, he's catching it, sure, at probably maybe a little bit below the net, but man, he rolled it quick, okay? I normally have pretty quick hands. I mean, you guys saw me throughout this whole tournament. I'm pretty good in these hand battles, but man, I mean, look at me. I don't even get a hand on that ball. It just goes right through me. So in this case, you see Leo. He's basically telling me, hey, let's stick to focusing on Matt. And it's obviously very much true. Also, it's 7-4, it's the finals. It's a little bit tough. So because obviously I do have patterns that are ingrained into my game, right? So something like this situation here, where I have a backhand dink, in more cases than not, obviously I'm way more comfortable having, as of most people, having a cross-court backhand dink as opposed to dinking out in front. If you don't have to, right? Normally you do that if, let's say, you're catching a ball a little bit late or at your feet. That's when you'd elect towards dinking that backhand up in front of you. But if you have the time, normally you kind of tend to lean towards that cross-court dink. We're still up 7-4. Yeah. So that might have been might have been one of the first times that Eric tried to dink. Again, his paddle in its current state is not really meant to be doing that, and he does not want to be doing that too. So it worked out in that situation. It's 8-4. Yeah, they confused themselves here. I think Matt thought that Eric would be taking that ball, but Eric elects not to because I think that ball was going to go out, but that threw Matt off. So here we go, 9-4. That was a little bit of a miss there. It's just unlucky. You can see Leo's getting a little bit frustrated here. I think because Leo sees the finish line here, you know, and keep in mind, so out of all the players that we've played against in this tournament, I've actually never really played against any of them. But Leo has, except for that very first team in the first video. Leo's played against all of them multiple times. Leo very well knows about Eric and Matt. So for them, he's playing against friends that he's trained up against, you know. So there might be some more personal vendettas and, you know, against some of these players, let's say put it that way. But for me, these are completely fresh players. I barely know their name to begin with. Matt serves. Yeah, I mean, I just played it safe there, you know. Nothing too crazy. Overshot that ball, unfortunately. I mean, that was obviously a point that we should have just taken because the ball was above my shoulder. They're serving at 6-9. Big drive by Matt. Yeah. So again, obviously, you know, Eric is counting on the power to overwhelm, and if it's not, then it becomes an issue. There we go. That was some good aggression. We're at 10-6 now. That's it. We have match point or championship point, as they like to say. Really deep return. It's a good spot. And there we go. With 11-6, and with that, Leo and I, we've won our very first tournament together, 4.5 to 5.0 tournament. Total of 5 matches. We ended up going 5-0. I think we were the only team, well, obviously the only team to go with 0 losses, but I think the second best team, which was Eric and Matt here, I think they might have had. I guess you can't quote me here, but I believe they had 2 losses. They took a loss in the pool play. So we did really well, but keep in mind, in our what's it called? Our third game. So in our first video, in our third game, we were down a match point, right? Our opponents had a match point on us. And in the prior match that I showed you in this particular video, our opponents had, I think, 2 match points, right? So we were this close to being knocked out of the tournament. Well, not knocked out, but we would have been fighting for a different place, let's say, right? So every point clearly matters. Now, for future tournaments, I mean, from looking at these clips, there's some stuff that I definitely want to work on. The first being, I have to just get the confidence to serve bigger and drive. As you guys will see, all these, you know, all the compilations on my channel. As of recent, I have been serving big, I have been driving big, but that's in rec play. I have to just take that game and bring it to the courts here in competition. I'm just so much more focused on making less errors in those situations as opposed to applying more pressure, but I've kind of got to understand the fact that those great serves and having big drives is going to get me that many more points. Second of all, me not being up at that line as close as I should be, that needs to be fixed. That's definitely something that's very, very apparent. Another thing I want to add to my game is a two-handed backhand, especially on the counters. I have a very good two-handed backhand drive to begin with, and I have a good two-handed backhand volley. When I practice it sometimes, when you're just getting warmed up, I really do well with it. It feels great, but I just never have the instinct to use it in the game, and a lot of it is because coming from tennis. So in tennis, for those tennis players out there, you may know this, but normally when your resting position is you might have let's say you have your grip, right? So normally speaking, if I'm on let's say I'm at the net, right, for volleys, I might have a continental grip going on, and my hand will be resting on the neck, right? That's how tennis players normally hold it at the net, right? So your hand is at the throat area, and your right hand is at the grip, right? So this is how you normally are. This is how I also hold it in pickleball when I'm at the net, right? I hold it in this position, basically, right? That's how it looks like. But I would not want to hit a two-handed backhand like this. I would prefer hitting a two-handed backhand with my hand lower down here and to have a tighter grip, right? See the difference? My fingers being up here like this, like a lobster pincher, right? That's how normally I am in a resting position, versus I need my hand to be lower and closed. That's how I would be hitting a two-handed backhand, right? Because again, in a two-handed backhand, your left hand is the one that's supposed to be driving the ball. So I want to make sure it's in this most powerful position as possible, which is a little lower in the grip, and also actually gripping the paddle as opposed to trying to grip it up here, right? That's how I also drive in pickleball. I also drive it like that, right? You may say, how do I fit two hands in the grip? Well, that's because normally speaking, my right hand is pretty far low on the grip. As you can see here, usually my pinky finger is barely on the grip to begin with. It's about halfway off. So that gives me more space up here, right? If I was holding it higher up, which some players do like this, yeah, now all of a sudden I'm gripping it up there, right? And in that case, yeah, maybe me having my usual resting position of tennis, that would actually be okay because that would be the default spot because there's no lower. But in my case, because I'm holding lower on the right-hand side, I have space above it still, but that's a little too low compared to where I usually rest it when I'm at the net. So again, very complicated situation there, but I have to simply readjust where my left hand is, but that's muscle memory that I ingrained from playing tennis for I don't even know how many years, but it was like 14 years every single day of my life. That's just how I held it. So I have to simply rewire my brain. That way it's prepared to hit a two-hander because there's no way to go from here to down here, this for a counter. Not enough time for that. So that needs to be built into my game. The second thing, as you might have seen between all of these clips, is my return. I almost exclusively slice my backhand return. Now, it's not a typical just backspin slice. As you saw in this particular game, I pointed out that when I do slice, I also apply a lot of side spin to it. Sure, I do that, but against players that are able to get under that ball and they have a strong drive, especially from tennis, it doesn't hurt them. They're able to put a lot more spin on the ball. In my recent practice, as a matter of fact, I've begun to work on just simply having a more flatter and a more spin drive, something a lot more traditional and conventional into my game. Obviously, I can do that. I can obviously drive and return on either side of my body with a regular shot. It's just getting into the habit of doing that because I relied on so many cheap points with my backhand slice as a pickleball player. But as I move up the levels, I understand that it's only going to be hurting me, especially because it is somewhat tough to get a slice deep off a serve of these poppy paddles, I would have to say. Especially as the paddles kind of change on us and continue to break in. It's tough to really figure out the consistency because a slice is very delicate. Since it doesn't really dip into the court, it kind of just like glides over the court. So you do have to be very delicate over how much power you actually put on that ball to make sure that it comes back in the court. So that's something I'm working on. That's an easier fix because I'm already seeing a lot of good improvement there. But those are the things that stuck out for me. If you feel anything else that sticks out, just leave it in the comments below. If you guys like this format, if you have any feedback as to the narration, now I get it. I mean, these videos are very long, right? I try to really break down at least what's going through my mind looking at this. I am quite analytical. I mean, even when I played tennis as a junior player, I used to do a whole bunch of coaching for it. And I didn't coach recreational players. I coached players that actually competed in tournaments. So I used to always look at the clips and kind of break it down and stuff like that. And I've done a little bit of pickleball coaching on the side as well. So to an extent, I feel like I can provide some level of good feedback and good analysis of what's going on. Obviously not to the point of the pros in this game, but still enough to kind of understand when things are not what they should be. But if you enjoyed this video, if you want to see more videos like this, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't. Outside of that, I'll see you guys out there. Thanks for watching.